Do you know what the best type of voice changer is?
I don't know, Mark. What is it?
It's the one where you can't just hear the other person's voice behind it, even when you're stood about 2 foot away from them.
I don't understand this reference. What are you talking about? Are you what? No.
So, in Scream,
Yes.
this isn't a spoiler for anyone.
No,
But
no.
the central conceit is that the murderer uses a voice changer to
Yes,
have the very same voice as everyone else.
Yes.
But yes, when you stood in the same room as them, you can't hear the voice behind it talking into it. Like if someone's talking to a megaphone, if you're stood next to them, you can still hear them talking into it.
I don't understand.
Well,
I'm sorry.
This has been a successful beginning to a
I know.
podcast.
I really want to join in, but there's part of me that's going, what? What?
How do you not understand this?
I don't know. So are you saying that it's not very successful because they're in the same room and therefore you can still hear the voice?
I'm saying it's fictionalized in the Scream films. Is that when someone's doing the voice, and I think most of the time they do it over the phone.
Yes.
But certainly, spoilers alert for this film. They do it when they're in the same room as people. The Scream voice.
Because they've got the ghost mask on.
Yeah.
And they've got the knife and they're dashing about through things.
Ignore that bit. But they're speaking through a voice changer.
Yes, they are. Yes.
But if that was the case, if you had a voice changer now, I could still hear your voice behind it.
Yes, I understand that.
Whereas-
yes.
I was trying to point out that doesn't happen in this film, but you kind of run roughshod over it.
And then I would probably come back with, it's a film. It's a film. It'll be okay.
It'll be okay.
Let's just pretend that doesn't happen.
So Scream.
Scream.
Not Scream 5.
Not Scream
just
5.
Scream.
Don't know what to call it when I edit the podcast and have to put a title on. Do I
I
call
would
it
put-
Scream? Or
I would
do
put Scream.
Would you?
That being the title of the film, yeah.
Yeah, but I kind of want to say not that one, so I'll have to put Scream and then in brackets.
I mean, it's a massive fuck on that,
2021, isn't it?
Like,
I know it's a pain.
I know that. I know this film is very meta, and they make
Well,
reference.
all Screams are meta.
Yeah, they make reference to the fact that films are rebooted.
Requels.
Requels.
There's thing about
Yes.
requel,
Yeah. But it's really annoying, these films that are called the same thing
Like
as the film
Halloween.
before, like
Yeah.
Halloween 2016
Well,
or
there was like
2017.
Halloween H2O at one point. Well, I prefer things like that.
Yeah,
was that the 20 Halloween Halloween H2O?
Yes.
Right, I got that just right then.
It was a 20-year anniversary.
Was it?
Yes.
I thought it was to do with
But
water.
then there was the requel,
Yes.
which took place after the first Halloween,
Yes.
but ignored Halloween 2 onwards,
Oh, right, okay.
which was out a couple of years ago, which is also called Halloween.
Okay.
This is annoying as well.
Yeah, it is annoying.
The Fast and Furious do it as well,
yeah, they do. Yes.
any just combination. Put Fast and Furious with any just
And
words in between it.
Particularly when they're sort of trying to forget about sequels that haven't gone particularly well. So it's almost like we'll just forget about those.
Yeah.
We'll come back. We'll just, like you say, there's a sequel to a beloved film that's already had a sequel, but we're doing it again. That sort of thing.
Anyway,
Sorry,
welcome to the podcast.
Yeah, hello everyone.
So this is our podcast for the 2022 Scream.
Oh, and I said 2021 actually earlier, so yeah, scrap that off. It's 2022, everyone.
Yeah,
Happy New Year again.
Yeah.
So we've been to see the new Scream 5. I think we should call it Scream 5 actually, because it's just going to get really annoying when we're referring back to the original, so I'm going to call it Scream 5. We've been to see Scream 5. You went today, so
Yes.
you are fresh off.
I'm fresh off.
And I am 24 hours behind, so I went to see it yesterday. So
You're 24 hours ahead.
Am I?
Yes.
No, I mean, I like going backwards. If we go back in time, then I went to see it
But
then.
that's not how time works.
Thanks, love.
You're ahead. Not bad.
So, if you've listened to the podcast before, you know that we have a lovely habit of, going to the pictures at different times. So this is what we've done here. We're now absolutely desperate to have a catch-up about Scream 5. What we're going to do is we're going to start with a general roundup of our relationship with the Scream franchise. So not going into any spoilers about the new film.
Yeah.
We may, I think, we will.
Let's
we
spoil
will go
the-
into
yeah, spoil the
spoil.
other
We're going to
films.
spoil the other films as far as I can remember them, love, because I can't really remember very much about some of them. I've been
We're
looking
not
them
going to
up
spoil
on-
much of the old films then.
Okay.
I ain't got much either on them. But
So yeah, we're going to talk about our relationship with the franchise, and then we're going to go into our spoiler-free thoughts on the new film Scream 5. Then we will have a short interlude and we'll come back and we will go for it. We will go through everything on that film. You came home from the cinema and sort of went, can we do the podcast tonight? Looked at me quite eagerly.
Yes.
It's probably one of the first things that you said to me when you came through the door, because you said you had a lot to say. So I'm really looking forward to getting to that part of the podcast where we can sort of pull it all apart.
Yeah.
But let's start with our relationship with the Scream franchise, because Scream came out, is it 1997? I want to say that. 96.
No, it's not. It's 1997.
Oh, I was right.
Yes.
Yay! Thank you for correcting me and being wrong. So yeah, I was 16. You would have been 17 then.
No, because we're the same age, pretty
No,
much.
no.
There's about 4 months between us, honey. It's not like
16/17 then.
Yes.
So quite an exciting age, I think, to be seeing a horror film like Scream.
Yeah.
Especially because it was written by the guy behind Dawson's Creek, which I absolutely loved.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah, Kevin Williamson. So he's the Dawson's Creek guy, and then you've got Wes Craven, who was a horror maestro, let's say. Of course, I wouldn't have known that at the time. I didn't really know anything about Wes Craven. I would not have watched horror films.
You didn't know Wes Craven at the time?
No, I didn't. Not at all.
Does this mean you've not seen Wes Craven's New Nightmare?
Oh, we've been through this before.
Yes, I know.
We've been through this before. Yes, I have not seen Wes Craven's New Nightmare. But actually, at the time, because I'm thinking now, I've watched Nightmare on Elm Street, but I hadn't seen films like that at the time. I hadn't seen Halloween. I don't think I've ever seen Friday the 13th. I realise these are not all done by Wes Craven, but I'm trying to say is I am not a horror aficionado.
Aficionado.
Thank you, darling. I'm really not a horror fan because I am a great big scaredy cat. But Scream, the original, really, really spoke to me because it was your typical American teenagers, that point in the 90s and late 90s where you've got your American teenagers.
As opposed to all other horror films. Yeah. That really ignore the teenage.
This is what I mean, but it really spoke to me at that age, especially someone who's sort of like watching Dawson's Creek and Heartbreak High and all of that sort of stuff. Having the teens of the time in that original film, and also marrying it together with this idea of commentary on scary films, which at the time I didn't really get, but it taught me a lot about those films. You know, when you've got someone like Randy, who's meant to be the geek, in his love of films, explaining all of the concepts. I really loved that about the films. I really loved that. I wouldn't have known the word meta at the time, but I really loved that meta aspect of it. How about you? Did you? I mean, you've got to have loved this. This is like, you love anything with like set in a high school.
Yeah.
You know, thinking back to your youthful days.
Yeah, I mean, so I used to really like the Nightmare on Elm Street films. I remember going around to my dad's friend's house and them having one of the Nightmare on Elm Street films on and just falling in love with it there and then. I was a bit scared at first, and they were like, oh, should we turn it off? And I was like, no, keep on there. By the end of it, I think we went to Macro the day after and I bought Nightmare on Elm Street 2 and 3 on VHS. I wouldn't say I'm a massive aficionado of the genre, but I was obviously a big fan of Nightmare on Elm Street, as we discussed on a recent podcast, which might become spoilerific, so I'm not going to go into it too much. Wes Craven's New Nightmare was it was the first sort of meta film that I saw, and I was absolutely all in on this. Scream 1 came out, and I think it must have come out like 4 or 5 months after the US, because I remember the big thing about it is that the person on the poster is Drew Barrymore, yet she is oft in the first scene.
Yeah.
And I remember that was spoiled before I ever saw it. I never did go to the cinema to see it. I must have seen it on TV, but I think I remember when it came out and it was like, yeah, you never guess what? Drew Barrymore's
off. And you know
oft.
what? Now that you've said that, I think I knew as well. It didn't come as a surprise to me at all.
Even the day before Twitter, I don't know how it quite got out other than just like in the telly,
I think you're right. It's
gossip.
It's that difference between the American market and ours in the UK, that there used to be this massive gap.
Yeah.
I mean, it sounds weird now, doesn't it, when we're getting things on streaming services and and sometimes we here in the UK get things before the Americans, which back in the 90s would have been unheard of.
And especially like obviously with time differences, quite often when a big Marvel film comes out and it's like a day and date release, I'm coming out of a film because I got like a 10 o'clock showing in the morning, and I'm coming out and there's just like no buzz on it whatsoever at this point. I can't find a podcast about it. Scream 2, I don't think I saw before I saw Scream 3. Unless it might have been on at a party. I've since watched it. But I remember going to see Scream 3 in the cinema when I was at uni and not having a clue who Cotton Weary was. It was like, it was this guy with his own with his chat show. Yeah.
Oh, we do remember more about the film than we remember. Yeah.
But when I was watching the film today, I did think there's not many franchises, and I've maybe seen Scream 1 a couple of times. I've seen Scream 2 and 3 once or twice each. I've seen Scream 4 once when it came out and never since. But there's very, very few franchises where I can name 4 characters that appear in multiple films.
Yes.
Whereas I can with this, and I don't know what it is about it, whether it's just the time it came out or the references to Dewey and Gale Weathers. But I can't name the characters from films that I saw yesterday, but I can pick out the names of plenty of different people from the Scream franchise. It's really, really bizarre, and I can't quite understand why it's so ingrained into popular culture, because it's not really a film that people mention and cite all the time.
No, you're
aside
right.
from when things come out.
Yeah.
But maybe it's just the people who are in there. So Neve Campbell was very big for a while. Courtney Cox, obviously, through Friends, and then her relationship with David Arquette. Maybe that just put it into folklore.
Yeah, and you're right, because those characters do return on a very regular basis throughout the franchise, whereas in other films, I think, people drop out or they get replaced by other people, or they're killed off in the first couple of films.
But I can still remember the name Cotton Weary, and that troubles me, because I don't understand why.
Yeah, maybe because the names are quite unusual, particularly for
Gale Weathers
you and I with our standard names, whereas when you've got
I've got a real unusual name,
but Sydney Prescott in Gale, there's a lyricism about it as well, and something that's slightly other. Even thinking about Dewey, Deputy Dewey, and the way it rolls off your tongue. Or,
and hello, Sydney.
Yeah.
It's the refrain. That might be it.
Do you remember much about it? You said you don't. You saw 2 maybe a couple of times, the second one a couple of times. I really like the second one because it talks about sequels.
Yes.
So, and I really like that idea of, okay, well, it is a sequel and it's talking about a sequel and looking at that analysis of the sequel and Randy coming back and explaining the lore of the sequel.
The thing that I liked most about that was the references to the Stab film.
Yeah.
That was the thing that really stuck with me, and the casting of David Schwimmer and things like that.
I thought that was 3 that came in, but did it come in Scream 2?
I'm pretty sure that Scream 2 is I might be wrong. I really might be wrong, but
because I remember Scream 3 was specifically, there were cast members like Emily Mortimer, and I'm sure she was playing someone who was in a Stab film, but it may be that by the time they got to Scream 3, they were playing people in a sequel to Stab, if that makes sense.
That would be my expectation.
Maybe
one
that's
of them.
right.
One of them actually has people in it. I might have had Luke Wilson or someone like that, but
I mean, I love the casting. Like you say, when you look back through all of the Scream, some of the people have gone on to really big things. Some of the people were just very much at the start of their career, and then others just completely faded away.
Yeah, and then obviously it launched so many different franchises. So it launched I Know What You Did Last Summer. It launched Urban Legend, which I
loved Urban Legend. I found Urban Legend really. I remember it being really scary.
But there is a really, really bad. There's a really bad reveal at the end, and some really overacting.
Is there?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
In my mind, anyway.
I can't remember. It was the Fonz in Urban Legend. Do I remember that
the Fonz
right?
was in Scream.
Oh.
The Fonz was the headmaster in Scream 1.
Oh, was he?
Henry
I'm getting
Winkler.
very confused. Sorry,
they do blend into one another. They do blend into one another, definitely.
Yeah, something has crossed wires in my mind with that then. Well, there we go. So Scream 4 then, just to tie it up. So I bought Scream 4 on DVD without having seen it at the cinema, and I was really excited to watch it because I love this idea of 1, 2, 3. I really like a franchise, particularly when the first couple of films are pretty good in my view, and it hadn't really trailed off into madness by that point. Scream 4, I watched it once and then I sold it on eBay because I just It just was a bit nothingness. Do you remember much about it?
The most I remember of it is it was on the shelf when we got together. But yeah, I mean, I'm looking at the cast now, and there's a hell of a lot of people in who've gone on to a lot of different things.
Yeah.
So, like, if I tell you who's in this, so Lucy Hale's in it.
Okay, well, you've lost me there already because I don't know who that is.
Lucy Hale, I think she made a name in Pretty Little Liars, but she was in Fantasy Island that was out the other year.
No, I remember
I watched
watching it. Okay,
yeah.
so the main before you give me a list, the main person I remember is Emma Roberts.
Emma Roberts
she's
is in
the
it.
protagonist.
Yeah. Alison Brie's in it.
Yes, I mean, it makes sense, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Rory Culkin's in it. I remember that.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Kristen Bell's in it. Anna Paquin, and some of these might just be people who are off.
Like, yeah.
Yeah, but.
Yeah.
I don't remember disliking it, but it was very forgettable.
Yeah,
clearly.
watched it once and then we got rid of it.
Yeah.
We couldn't keep hold of it, did we? So, and I remember at the time it was trying to say, and I think like all of them are, they're trying to say something about, they're trying to do social commentary. So the Scream 4 was very specifically about social media and the rise of the influencer and people.
Okay, that makes
I don't know
sense.
if it really was influencer by then because it was only 2011, I think. Was Scream 4 2011? Am I right?
It was, yeah.
So I don't think it was quite there, but it was talking about YouTube and the rise of social media and the use of social media and people filming themselves. So I remember that being and I like stuff like that, but yeah, I didn't revisit it.
Okay. So.
Bringing it up to it. So yeah, 2011 and then 2021 / obviously it's come out
22.
this year. Yes, I know, but it was filmed in 21. Okay, so the latest Scream, the requel. Do you want to go first and give me your spoiler-free thoughts on the latest in the Scream franchise?
I think I enjoyed it. I have issues with how it's put together at points. I think the problem with this film is, I think it's a piece of piss to write these films because if something's a bit cheesy, you can go, it's just a reference to like 70s cheesy horror. And there were bits where I just thought, oh, this doesn't work. There's someone in the cast who I think is out of their depth. It was nice to see the people come back again. I don't think there's any spoiler to say that a lot of the people who were in the three remaining legacy characters come back in this. I don't remember. There are clearly references to characters in other films, which I didn't get in the slightest. Okay. So that passed me by. I liked the people. I think some people were really good in it. And people that I like in other things really shone through in this. But I think there were some people who it just have tried to do emotional moments and it doesn't work. There is a bit where I actually laughed out loud.
Which you weren't really meant to.
No, I don't think so. Okay. I don't think so.
We might go into that later.
Yeah. But overall, I left marginally happy with it. A lot of what I want to say is spoilerific. Okay. There is, but yeah, I think it doesn't disgrace itself, which a film 25 years after the original.
It's getting really good reviews, and I think it's doing. I know people who listen to the podcast regularly will know that you normally have all the stats, and you probably haven't had a chance to look it up yet.
Nope, not at all.
It's doing really well at the box office.
Oh, okay.
And yeah,
my screening was pretty empty.
Yeah, but mine was
I went
as well.
on a Saturday afternoon, which
okay,
but
like
I know
the
it's not a big
times a bit more when I was looking at like the app where it shows you how many seats are taken and things. I went on a Friday afternoon, but then as soon as it hit 5 o'clock, 6 o'clock, it looked busier.
Okay, fair enough. Yeah, I didn't hate it, and I left.
Did you think you were going to hate? Were your expectations very low?
No, yeah, I was prepared to be disappointed. Let me put it that way. So, okay, I'm gonna phrase it in a way which is spoiler free. I think with a film like this, it invites you to take guesses about who it's going to be.
And, it is. It's a whodunit.
Yeah, but it actively. I think this film actively says, like, oh, is it this person? Oh, is it not? Oh, is it this person? Oh, is it not?
Don't you think all of them have done that to a certain extent, and maybe we're not remembering it?
Well, maybe. So for me, the person who did it was kind of irrelevant. Mm-hmm. I think it's the explanation of why someone's doing it is where this film is going to live and is going to succeed or fail. And I I wasn't disappointed by the explanation.
Oh, right. So it was,
Yeah.
the explanation was okay. I thought you were going to say that you thought it didn't work, but that's
No.
interesting. Okay.
So yeah, look, I'm happy I saw it. It was, I think it's about, it's somewhere between 3 and 4, 3.5 stars for me. What did you think?
I really liked it. You might have picked up on that from me going, but what about, but this, but that, and giving all the
but what about this?
What about this? Yeah, I really liked it. Now, I went in with higher expectations because I'd heard on the grapevine, I don't know where I'd got it from, because obviously I went the day it came out, but something had seen something that suggested that the murmurs around this were pretty good, and that people were saying, it's one of the better sequels, and like you say, it doesn't disgrace itself. So when I went into it, I wasn't thinking, oh, what am I gonna see here? And I think I'd already seen the trailer as well, and the trailer had made me go, okay, this doesn't look quite so bad, but we know trailers can lie. So Matrix Resurrections. But you go into it, but I did have a slightly higher expectation. I thought, oh, okay, am I going to be really disappointed here? Now, I am going to mention The Matrix here, just to sort of give colour to my point.
Yeah.
When I went to see the latest in the Matrix franchise, the meta-ness really put me off, and I felt it was overblown. This film absolutely overblows the meta references, but I lived with it much better. I sort of dealt with it in a happier place. I enjoyed them. It was more, like you say, comedic. It was laughing perhaps when I shouldn't have been laughing, but also laughing when the film wanted me to laugh. There were a number of things that they do, which referring back to the older films, where they're talking about the way that films work now.
Yeah.
And at first I was a bit like, oh, they're mentioning sort of films that are newer, but of course that's what the other films of the franchise were doing, and it's just bringing it up to date. I found it to be very clever. I thought it was made by people who had a real love for the other films. There were a number of references that I got that I don't think you would have got. And Carrie, I know you're saying that, don't give me that face.
Sorry.
Mark's looking really indignant, but you're saying that, you didn't know who these certain people, and I remembered people from the other films, and I noted a few things that I thought, oh, yeah, they're referencing back to Scream 4, they're referencing back to Scream 3. I loved the whodunit element. I spent the first half of the film just sitting, working through all of the characters. I thought I had it sussed, and I was wrong. And and that was good, because with these things, it's, you can kind of go, oh yeah, if it's going to be that, then it kind of like, I don't really want it to be that. So yeah, I really enjoyed it. When there was one massive plot hole, which we'll talk about when we get to spoilers, that absolutely did my nut in, and I spent the entire film waiting for something to be put together, and it never came. I agree with you that there are people in this film that shine, and I'm talking about the newer characters. I think the older characters do a beautiful job. I think they're the heart of the film.
Yeah.
But the newer characters, there are certain people who sadly do not stand up to the legacy character. I think it's an unenviable position to be in when you're up against the characters that we've known for a number of years. Many years now, if you think about it. I keep thinking like, oh, the first one only came out 5 years ago, but it's like the 90s. And then there are other people within the cast, I thought, why haven't they given them a bit of a stronger through line? Because when I've looked them up afterwards, I've realised that I know them from other franchises, I know them from other TV shows and films, and I think they shone far greater than the other people who they put at front and centre. So I think there was perhaps, if we'd moved the casting around a little bit, it might have been better. I could recast in a number of ways. But I really enjoyed it. I just had a really fun time. And when it ended, I just sort of went, I'm not thinking about that, through the night. I'm not going to be waking up, and analysing it to a great degree, but there are moments in it that have stayed with me. There were, I found it scary, but I find everything scary, and I just had a really good ride with it. Notwithstanding, I think there are issues, as you have explained.
You know how I have a habit now of coming up with a theory halfway through a film and then realising that every single bastard in the world has done this. I can go one better on this.
Okay, go on.
So the film that reminded me of halfway through was Ready or Not, which is a film that I saw a couple of years ago.
You can beat your usual. Yes,
yeah.
I know exactly what you're talking about.
And then the credits rolled, and I'm like, I recognise those two names. And yeah, it's directed by the same people.
I remember you going to see that and telling me about it because you went to see the film without me. I was busy somewhere else, and you text me. I really remember you text me to tell me that I should go and see it.
Yes, still haven't, have you?
No.
No. It's a lot of fun. It's a lot of fun.
Who's it got in it?
So it's Samara Weaving.
Yes.
Yeah. Adam Brody's in it.
Oh, and he was in one of the earlier Screams as well.
Was he?
Yeah, Adam Brody's in it, yeah.
Henry Czerny's in it.
Oh, lovely Henry Czerny.
Andy McDowell. There's a lot of people who are having a lot of fun.
But yeah, directed by the same people.
Yes, yeah. So that's why it reminded me of it. I feel quite Cine Literate looking at that, going, "Oh, it reminds me of that." But yeah, it's a fun horror, and I think a lot of the action in this clearly reminds me of it for a reason.
Yeah, that's done.
But yeah, I'm happy, but I think we need to go into spoilers.
Yeah, I agree.
Do you want to play the trailer just to put a barrier for people to turn off?
Hello?
It's happening. 3 attacks so far. Do you have a gun?
I'm Sydney Prescott. Of course I have a gun.
Something about this one just feels different.
Samantha? I know who you are. I've been through this a lot. This is your life now, which means that whoever this is gonna keep coming for you. You ready for this? Never.
Oh, stop! Wait! There's certain rules to surviving.
The attacks were all on people related to the original killers.
Whatever his link is to our past, it's pulled us all back here. And I won't sleep until he's in the ground.
Hello, Sydney. It's an honor.
Okay, so spoilers from here in. You have been warned. We are going to spoil this film to the nth degree.
So go on then. Who are we slagging off first then?
Oh, it's so hard, isn't it? Because like I say, it's an enviable position to be in, to go up against Neve Campbell, who's created this character of Sydney Prescott, and, you know, she was the final girl and all of that sort of thing. But I just felt that the character that clearly was meant to be the new Sydney, Billy Loomis's daughter. And you know what? This is how bad it is. I can't even remember. Is it Sam?
Yeah.
Samantha. Obviously, Carpenter was her surname, and that's what I remember the most because that's clearly a reference.
Oh, I never even got that. Yeah.
And well, Loomis as well. Loomis is a reference to one of the older films. I can't remember what it is because I never saw them, but I know that there's a Loomis somewhere. So they're always making references to the past films. There's Elm Street's in.
Yes,
in
that's
it,
a sign.
So all of that was good.
Yeah.
I just felt that they had bitten off more than they could chew, and you know when you were saying the emotional moments weren't sold.
Yeah.
That's how I felt. There was almost like a pane of glass between us and her, and she's got a stunning face.
Yes.
But I didn't feel anything coming from it.
Yeah. So
I felt it was quite one note.
I saw last year now in The Heights. She's one of the female leads in there. And I actually, on my way back from the cinema, I went and put on my review of In the Heights to see what I thought of her in there. And I think she was massively underserved in the Heights.
Okay. So there wasn't much to go on.
Wasn't much to go on. I mean, she's a great singer. She's a great dancer. But she's largely a foreign language actress, like a Spanish language actress. And, you know, like, I think there are points where she is trying to explain everything that's going on, and it's very one note for me.
Okay.
I hope she's got a thing ahead of her, because I think she has got a presence.
Yes, I agree. And that's why I think if you're going to be the new Sydney Prescott...
Yes.
That comes with so much baggage.
Yeah.
And I just don't think it wasn't sold enough to me.
I mean, alongside her is the guy who plays Richie, Jack Quaid.
Oh, I thought he was amazing.
I mean, he is in The Boys.
Okay.
And I love him in The Boys.
I didn't know he was... And I'm going to come on to talk about the cast, because a number of them have famous parents.
Yes.
So obviously Jack Quaid, who plays Richie the boyfriend, is the son of Dennis Quaid and Meg Ryan.
Yeah.
And he has such an interesting face. At one point, when I didn't know who he was, I thought they were really riffing off the idea that he was like Pacey from Dawson's Creek. So obviously I got the Dawson's Creek reference because of the older films, and also at one point the younger sibling.
Yes,
of
is watching
Sam
Dawson's
is watching
Creek.
Dawson's Creek.
I now realise that when you say the reason
and
why.
I thought he he was like a Joshua Jackson, and therefore. And also a bit of a Matthew Lillard as well, in that he's got that really malleable face.
Yes.
So at one point he can look really, really innocent and hurt, and the next minute he can look quite maniacal, and you think it's him.
Yeah.
I think he's amazing. I really, really liked it. Very compelling.
His charisma really stands out. Yeah. I think with the boys, and obviously you haven't seen it. It's all I've
I know you've talked about it a lot on the podcast.
There's a lot of superheroes, and I am bored when they are not on screen, unless he is on there. He's part of another group who are fighting against the boys, trying to expose them, and he is the only good thing out of it. He's got a relationship with one of the boys, female boy, and that really works, and she's kind of like the agent on the inside. But he's got something of the all I can think of is The Shining. Is who's the really, really famous actor from The Shining? Jack Nicholson.
Jack Nicholson. He's got something of the Jack Nicholsons about him. Sorry, all I could think about was So I think he's, and I think that's what I mean by the malleable face and the eyes. And I don't think he's classically good looking. If you think about other love interests from these sorts of films, like your Freddie Prinze Jr.'s. The people who look very much like almost like your Ken doll type of men that they put into these films. I thought he had more going on in terms of his face, the way he looked, and I really enjoyed him, and I loved that. Is it him? Isn't it him? Is it? I thought he played that one wonderfully, because he must know as an actor that people are going, because they actually they reference it, and of course they do. They say, it's going to be you, isn't it? Because you're the love interest. You've only known him for 6 months, blah blah blah. And still, I didn't think it was him.
Nor did I. I thought, I mean, I also loved to see the girl who plays Mindy. I'm trying to find her name.
Her name in this. Oh, her name. Does it begin with J?
Yasmin Savoy Brown.
Last night.
Yeah, and you know where we know her from.
She's from The Leftovers.
Yes.
She's young Evie from The Leftovers, the quiet girl with the glasses.
Yes, spoilers. This is films for The Leftovers, but she disappears halfway through. I think she was so much charisma in it. And that's when I thought, who would be a better Sidney Prescott lookalike? Her. I totally agree.
She really stood out to me, and so much so that I thought it was her and her brother, because they were twins, and because there's always two. I genuinely thought that's who it was. I thought I'd worked it out. I thought it was dead clever. She's the one that loves, she loves the film. She stands up. She does the Randy sort of bit where she's like, it's a requel. This is what we want. This is what the fans want. The fans want this. And I thought, oh, well, they're the film fanatics, aren't they? Well, she is. I don't think the brother is quite so much. I thought they just want it to, and maybe to get, because obviously the killer went after Stu's nephew. So Stu from the first film, played by Matthew Lillard.
Yes.
They went after his nephew, who's called Vince in this, who's meant to be someone's ex-boyfriend, just random person who shows up. And it's meant to be like a red herring, but it turns out that he is connected to the original killers at some point. And I thought, right, they're going after those people because of, Uncle Randy got killed and all of that sort of stuff. But that turned out to be total nonsense for me. But you know who the brother is? Do you know who his dad is?
No.
If I tell you his name is, his surname is Gooding.
Oh, is it Cuba Gooding's son?
But he's not a junior, and it really, really weirded me out. I was like, why is he? I was looking him up. I'm like, why is he not called? I think he's called Mason.
Mason Gooding. Yes, that's right.
I was like, why is he called Mason Gooding Jr.?
Well, honey.
Because I'm so used
Let me
to
explain
saying it
how,
in like one word, Cuba Gooding Jr. And
So
he's the son of Cuba Gooding Jr. Funnily enough.
Okay.
Yeah.
I mean.
Yeah, I thought they were both really good. She obviously stand out, but I liked him as well.
Yeah. I mean, Mikey Madison, is that plays
Is it
Amber?
Amber?
Yeah, I mean, I know her from Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. She's got a small part in that.
I saw that last night as well. Sorry, I looked at all these people up last night, and I thought, oh, she's quite Tarantino-esque in that she looks very different to the other kids. She looks younger.
Yeah.
She's got more, not sass, but there's just something. She's darker, and I mean that not in terms of the way she looked. I mean that in terms of her attitude and her personality is very there was she didn't quite match the others.
I totally agree. She's got a very interesting. She looks like the sister of Ezra Miller.
Yes, that's amazing. Yeah,
they could be cast as like brother and sister. I think they work really well together. But
and so she stood out for me at the beginning, and also the fact that she was like the best friend who was a bit clingy and you know that. Something I think. Well, I read last night on a synopsis of this, and see if you get this. That she was written in the synopsis as the sister whose name completely escapes me. The younger sister. What was her name? I know she's played by someone called Ortega, but I can't remember what the name of the sister is. There's Sam and what's her sister called?
Tara,
right. So it said that Amber was Tara's ex-girlfriend. Now, I didn't get that at all, so I don't know whether I've just completely missed something. And that would make sense in that she was very, very clingy, and she was, you know, wanting to talk to her, and she was having a go at Wes, who used to be the lover. But then she was always, Wes bothering you, and I just didn't get that at all.
Amber was Tara's
ex-girlfriend.
But the friends at the big, I think I took them as just being best friends.
That's what I thought, and I took Amber to be going out with Jack Quaid at the end. I took that to be a romantic relationship between the two of them, and not to say that she can't have romantic relationships with lots of different people, but do you know, it just didn't pop out to me at all, and I didn't know whether I'd missed it, but it looks like you hadn't picked up on that.
No,
either.
No, not at all.
So yes, I thought she was. From the beginning, I thought, oh, it's her. Because she's just so different from the others, and then I kind of forgot about it, which is good. That's what the film wanted me to do.
So, my problems with it are, I think there is a fine line between being cute with your references and somehow just going, oh, for fuck's sake. Like, there is a scene where Wes...
Named after Wes Craven.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, didn't get that. Yeah.
For Wes.
Yeah.
Wes, Elm Street, Wes.
Is like getting ready for dinner, and they do...
Oh, he's in the shower?
No. He's getting like the plates out and stuff like that. Okay. And they play the two things where he's opening a door in front of a doorway, and they play the music. Yeah. And I'm like, okay, the first time is quite cute. The second time, I'm like,
No, I was terrified. I couldn't look. Something's behind the fridge.
I think it's just a cheap... I think the first one worked really well and was funny. The second time, I think it's just a cheap trick. And I know they will say, oh, we're making reference to the horror tropes. I don't think it works with all that.
I thought they were building and building tension until the final point.
And similarly, I think there's reference... When she's coming on saying, oh, yeah, I really like what's the word they use for the horror films?
Oh, elevated horror.
Elevated horror, like the Babadook.
Like the Babadook, who gets mentioned a lot,
the films of Jordan Peele and things like that. I really liked that reference. And we'll come on to the conceit at the end of it, the twist and the motivation. But just little bits of it just became like, oh yeah, we can get another reference now. We can get another reference now. Okay. Oh yeah, don't go down the stairs. Yeah, we did this like 5 films ago.
Yes, but I quite like that.
But yeah,
it's nostalgia.
Once every now and again is fine. But you know, when Richie's going down the stairs and like, oh yeah, we're going to repeat these points that we just had a couple of minutes ago.
Okay, I get that.
What I really liked is, I really liked the motivation of toxic fandom. I don't know if that's going to work for people who aren't as big a movie fans as us, and they're like, what does it mean? Yeah, aren't interested in the movie internet community. And I know that there are people they don't listen to podcasts where they talk about what's happening with Suicide Squad or Justice League or The Last Jedi, and I really liked the reference to Rian Johnson directing Scream 8,
Scream
is it?
8, yeah.
Obviously the reference to him, to the reception of his work for The Last Jedi.
I understand that because I think he's thanked in the credits.
Okay.
So I understand he's absolutely in on that joke.
Yeah, that makes sense. I mean, Scream 8 looks amazing with Ghostface with a flamethrower, and it's too nice and things like that.
But yeah, it's a really interesting commentary, isn't it, of the fans saying, I don't like the work that you've put out, so we are going to redo it, or we are going to petition for the film that we want.
Yeah.
And it used to be like, sort of back in the day that these things have always happened. People have always said, oh, that's not what I want. I wanted one that looked like this. But I don't know whether social media has given people a louder voice and an ability to talk to the filmmakers and an ability to, I think it's also really be hurtful. And
I think it's also given them like a crowd, so you can find people on your. If you're the sort of person who is willing to abuse a cast member or a filmmaker for a decision they made in good faith as part of a film franchise that you adore, like, maybe your mates like are also annoyed, but they're not maybe the sort of person who's like, yeah, okay, it was disappointing. However, you can easily find other people via a hashtag who will join you in your little war against.
And then that voice gets louder and louder.
Exactly. It's a vocal minority, and they've given these people a voice, and people who agree with them are easily found. I mean, I find it really interesting. Part of the way through the film, I was thinking, why have they made this film? Because it just seems like there is not a lot that had progressed at that point. It's almost a remake where there's people going, people are dying, but I now see that there are people who they've probably looked at what's happened with The Last Jedi and Justice League and have decided to write this based on this, and that's at the end of the day, that's why I give this a pass. I'm still annoyed by the fact that like someone can be in a hospital with no people in whatsoever when the lights go out.
And also my big plot hole of the thing is, where's our mother?
Where's our mother? I was sure this was going to come back.
And or the dad that left them. Like you would imagine, if your child has been stabbed multiple times, even if you are an estranged father who left, you would think that you would come back and see that, the sister who is estranged, who's gone off for 5 years, she comes straight in. She's in the hospital all the time with the staff sort of knowing she's in there. She's not next of kin. No. Where's the mother? There's towards the end, there's sort of an off-camera reference to the mother being off drunk, as she normally, like, something about her being a drunk, which again is, I don't know whether that's like a super meta reference to, because Sidney Prescott's mother was tainted within the community as being a drunk and someone who had, in inverted commas, loose morals.
Well, they set that up early on because when Ghostface first calls her, she's saying, oh no, from her group, and she's like, AA? But then there's also reference that she's in London.
I forgot about that.
I think there's reference she's like at a conference or something like that in London. So I mean,
I didn't get that.
I'm pretty sure that she is in London at some point.
I wish they'd done that, because I'd been looking out for it. I wish they'd done it in. Maybe they felt it was a bit too sort of look at the camera. The mother's not here. Also, I just wanted to know who it was.
Yeah,
like
I felt sure that this was going to be someone who would come back, and I was like,
that's what I thought. I'm waiting
in my mind,
for the
I'm
moment.
like, I'm not sure that I'm going to recognise who this is.
I was thinking.
But I would definitely work because I don't know who it is, unless it's Emma Roberts.
For the first 20 minutes, I was thinking, oh, these are Gail Weathers' kids.
I thought.
But then I remember she didn't have, with Dewey, she didn't have any. But it's like, it's someone who's clearly really into the franchise, that they've come after these kids for a reason, with the door locking devices and all of that sort of stuff. I don't know.
You see, I thought for a long time, and I was rolling my eyes at it, are they going to make Sydney the killer? Because she does not appear on this till the last act, apart from one scene where she's pushing a pushchair, and Mark is in the background. Yes. Is Mark in a previous film?
Mark is the detective from Scream 3, played by Patrick Dempsey. So that's, like, I didn't remember that at all. That is me, again, looking at Wikipedia, and also think, right, okay, they're making reference to other characters, so I'm presuming that
Does
her
he
cat from
appear
Scream
in
3. I don't
Scream
know.
4?
I don't think so.
'Cause I know that
could be
in
wrong.
is it Scream 3 or Scream 4 where she's running a helpline at the beginning?
For help, yes, I think that's Scream 3. I think Scream 4, she's like writing. Oh, well, Scream 4, I think she's writing like a self-help book, so that could be. That could be it as well. But yeah, anyway, I think that's meant to be.
He's too old for her.
He's not, is he?
Patrick Dempsey.
How old's he? I don't think of them being like she's not 17 anymore, love.
Okay, so he's 7 years older than her. Yeah, she's
not too old for her.
No.
Are you thinking he's like really, really old? And
I
she's really
think
young?
of them as being two very different generations.
Okay, well they're not.
Because I think of McDreamy coming in. Like, I feel that when she was a teenager, he was coming in playing a doctor,
like an older,
but there's probably like a good 5 years between the two.
Teenager, and she's probably in her mid-20s.
But he was like around in the 80s, so yeah, he was born 66, she was born 73.
Okay. What an insight.
Yeah. So I think she feels like a teenager in Scream, whereas she's probably in her mid-20s.
That's what I've just said.
Yeah.
I've literally just said that.
Yeah, well, I was still trying to do the maths at that point, so
yeah, so I think that is him, because we haven't seen anyone, and Dewey knows about him. He asks about Mark and the kids.
I just thought they were on about me.
I tell you who I really, really loved in this film, and that is, I know you said Patricia, David Arquette. David Arquette. He looks really well.
Yeah, everyone's saying like, "Oh, yeah, you look." And I'm like,
he looks brilliant.
So,
I thought
yeah.
he looks really well. He looks really fit. He looks really healthy. He looks. He played the role really, really well. You can see that world weariness of him. You can see that thing of someone who's left his job. They apparently moved to New York with Gail, and he hated it there. He wanted to come back to his, he's living in his caravan.
That exposition discussion between the two of them.
I did as well, but I
know they needed to do it, but
they could have done it. So they could have done it like with him on the phone to Sydney or something.
But it did just sound like
it was. Oh look, you didn't, and I left in the middle of the night, and it was.
Yeah.
But these things happen, don't they? I just thought he played such a wonderful. And I thought all that, like I said in the original, and when I said in the pre-spoiler, I just felt all the heart came from there. And when he died, I was really, really sad.
I'm quite angry that they did that, to be perfectly honest.
Yeah, and I know you feel like in this film, I thought all three of them were going to go. I certainly thought Gail was going to go as well. When she got shot, I mean, blooming hell, 9 lives with those two. They were like being shot,
almost beyond parody.
Yeah. But yeah, especially when he goes back and he said, you got to shoot them in the head, and you're thinking, oh no, this is it. This. I knew he was gonna die. And I had that sense of foreboding, and you do that thing in horror films where you don't do it, which they actually reference in the film. If this is the part where you say run away and don't look back. And I actually to jump forward a bit, I actually like that bit where we said, look, we're just getting out of town. We're not staying here to fight. We're not going to club up all together.
Yeah,
we are going, and that is the end of that. I mean, the fact that they were going with one of the killers in the car, probably wouldn't have worked in the long run. But anyway. Yes, I really, really felt, and Courtney Cox, I think it's one of her best roles. Obviously Monica's the big one, but I really, really like her as Gail Weathers. She really feels she knows who Gail is, and that idea of them, meeting on these films, getting together, getting divorced, the fact that they have to come back together and they're talking about their relationship separate. You feel there's so much truth in their scenes.
But I think they are still friends in real life.
Friends in real life.
I now realise why David Arquette looks as good as he does.
Go on.
Well, you know what his hobby
he was doing like wrestling, wasn't he?
Yes.
Yeah.
Do you know the history of that?
I'm sure you've told me before, but go on, tell me again.
So everyone else just click off now. Just fast forward about 2 minutes. So in 2000, he was in a film called Ready to Rumble with Scott Caan, which was a promotional tie-in film with the World Championship Wrestling, which was like the big. It was the rival of
WCW.
Yeah, WCW. It was the rival of WWF at the time.
Bonus
it was
life points for me.
Yeah, it was owned by Ted Turner. Well done. Yes, well done.
Thank you.
Tap you on your leg. So there were WCW stars in it, and it was awful. Having seen it and sat through it. And then as a promotional tool, They put him in a couple of matches, and at one point he won the WCW World Title, which is the historic belt that goes back to, you can trace the lineage of that back to the 1930s. It's the title that Ric Flair wore in the 70s.
Big Daddy.
No, that's British wrestling. Yeah. But yeah, it's the one that Hulk Hogan won when he went across the WCW. It's the one with all the history. It's the big gold belt that and he didn't want to do it, but it was Crash TV at that point. They wanted a rating, and it got them on the front page of USA Today, which is what they would point to as the justification for it. Unfortunately, it drove away a lot of fans who just thought, too much. We can't have David Arquette being the world champion. So I think he wanted to justify himself, because he took a lot of shit for it in wrestling circles. And so in like the mid 2000s or mid teens. What do we call the...
Oh, the 20...
The 20s. The 2010s,
Yeah.
the teenties, the tenties.
Oh, God,
yeah,
no.
Anyway, I don't think we've got a name for that yet.
No, I don't think we ever should.
Okay. He trained to become a wrestler, and he took part in really, really horrible wrestling. Like wrestling with light tubes, wrestling with thumbtacks. And that's what he went in for. It's like a very, garbage wrestling, really, is what it's called. Sort of death matches and things like that. And they did a film about it called David Arquette is Still Alive or something like that. I probably should look that up, which I've not seen, and I really want to, but yeah. And that's why he looks so good, because he's bloody working out to wrestle.
I was really pleased to see him look so well, because I know he's had some issues in the past.
Yeah, and I think it was You Cannot Kill David Arquette. That's what it's called.
David Arquette is still alive.
David Arquette is still alive.
It makes sense.
Yeah, that's the sequel. You can.
You cannot kill him.
Yeah. But no.
Yeah, I think you needed someone to go. I mean, the other person who I really didn't want to go was that young lad Wes. Because now I'm an old woman. I'm like, oh no, he's the nice one. He's like really nice, and he's got his lovely mum, and like she's taught him really well, and she's coming to save him, and then she's dead, and then he's dead. I mean, that's not very fair, is it?
I'm just going to Google something.
Right, why?
Because there's a feature on these phones that I've never seen in real life. It might be an iPhone. Oh yeah, it's iPhones who do maybe.
Oh, I was going to ask you about that. So when someone rings you in this film,
Yes.
it comes up with you don't know this person, they're not in your contacts, but it could be someone
Yes.
else. How do they know that? Like, is it someone, do they have like a mobile phone register or something like that?
Yeah, obviously this is it's on Apple phones. We both have Androids because we're cheap, and I've got a ongoing battle. I think I slagged off our iPhones quite a long time ago.
You did, to everyone.
And now I can't.
And now you can't have one.
I'm very much in the Google system.
Yeah,
We've got Google stuff all around the house.
We've got Apple TV. That'll do.
Yeah, but we haven't. We've got Apple
do we
TV
not?
Plus, but we watch it on a Google device.
Oh, of course we do.
Yes.
Of course
yeah.
we do. Live in the gig.
Yeah. So if the phone number is not in your address book for matches, it looks into your email to see anyone with that number sent you an email.
Oh.
If it finds the phone number associated with the contact from your email, it will show you maybe. I mean, a lot of people are sending a lot of emails in this, but I don't think that's... Yeah. Yeah.
But it's a useful device, isn't it? Because in other films you'd be thinking, these people don't know each other at all. She's been away for 5 years. How does she know that this is the Amber girl ringing her, or how does she know that it's one of the other kids that she didn't probably even know that her sister was friends with 5 years ago? Yeah, that sort of thing. So yeah, it's a useful device.
Yeah. But yeah, overall, like, I don't know where I'd place it, because I can't really remember 3 and 4, but it's not as good as Scream 1. It's probably not as good as Scream 2 in my mind, but it's a perfectly acceptable film. Even though at times it did just go a little bit too far for me.
I go 1, 2, 5, 3, 4 at the moment. That's my thing. But I haven't seen some of them for a long time.
But I don't remember 4, so really I'm just guessing.
No, but I would... Okay, so this is the way I'm thinking about it. Scream 4, I wouldn't put on. Scream 5, if Scream 5 was on, a little bit in the way that when American Pie comes on ITV2, and we're halfway through it, I will still find myself watching it all the way to the end at 11 o'clock at night because I just enjoy being with the people and I enjoy the nostalgia and the music. And
I'd say the same for 2 as well.
Yeah. So, yeah, that's what I would...
Yeah, same for American Pie 2, not American Wedding.
And let's say if Scream 2 came on ITV2 at 9 o'clock and I found I'd probably do the same with that. So I don't think I would with 3 and I certainly wouldn't with 4. So that's what I'm basing my sort of list on in terms of my nostalgia and my watching it again. I would definitely watch this film again because I'd like to pick up on all the references. I'd also like to know where the mother is. So, or other adults,
You're saying this, but going back to the point I made earlier, in my mind, I'm a far bigger fan of the American Pie franchises.
Oh, okay, yeah.
But
yeah,
I can name Jim, I can name Finch.
Kevin. Do you want me to name
I couldn't have named Kevin.
Oh, really?
I could,
Stifler's mum?
I could, yeah.
And
Stifler,
Yeah.
yeah, of course. I couldn't name Michelle, is that?
Yeah.
Is that...
That's Flute.
What's Tara Reid's character's name?
Oh, and see, why are you giving me a quiz at this time of night?
Because I'm trying to
After I'm
establish,
thinking about Scream. I will remember it at some point, but I can't remember it now.
And what's Mina Savari's character?
Don't know.
What's
is it no, it's not Jessica or something like that. Yeah, anyway.
What's the guy who plays lacrosse with the thing?
Who sings?
Yeah, yes.
Chris
Rollerball.
in real life.
Chris
something in real life.
Yeah, what's his name?
I think he used to be engaged to Katie from Dawson's Creek. Joey from Dawson's Creek.
I mean...
Who then married Tom Cruise. There you go. See, I'm going around the houses now for you.
Yeah, so
yes, you
look,
can't...
like I'm saying, we don't know what their names are.
Yeah.
And that's... Even though I've seen them films... Even though I've seen them films far more times.
Yeah.
So, yeah, there is something about
There's
Scream
something
which
about
is...
it. It was probably something about the names.
Yeah,
like I said.
maybe so, yeah.
No Gail Weathers in American Pie 2.
Yeah. Yeah, no, you're right.
Right, let's bring this to a close.
Let's bring it. Yes, let's. So we've got a lot out at the minute.
We have. We've been to the cinema much more than last year, funnily enough.
Well, you have. I maybe haven't.
Okay.
But yeah, we've got our Matrix Resurrections
spoiler review.
We've got our films of the year and TV shows of the year out, and we also have our 100th Spectacular, which we haven't recorded yet. Because I wanted to come... We were supposed to record tonight, but I wanted to do this first, so we're going to record that tomorrow. So I tell you, it's going to be brilliant. Although I can't guarantee it just yet, because
It'll probably be long.
Yes.
Because we've got a lot to catch up on.
We've got a lot to catch up on.
So yes, that should be in your feed already.
Yes.
So enjoy that long episode, which is our 100th Spectacular.
And we really should do a date night sometime soon.
So date night, if you're a new listener, is a feature where one of us picks a film for the other person, and it's a film that the other person typically wouldn't want to watch. For example, one date night, I picked Jaws 3D for Mark to watch.
For example, I picked Iron Man 3 for you.
Yeah, 3.
Which starred in a very small role.
Right. Who? What?
Tara from Scream 5.
Oh, is she in that? You know what? I saw... This is my one line from this entire poster. I looked that up last night. And she's the president's daughter?
Vice president's daughter.
Oh, the vice president's
who's
daughter, yeah.
suffering with an illness, if you remember.
Oh,
and so,
remember.
spoilers
and
for Iron Man
why,
3.
Yeah.
He's selling out the country
I
to
do remember that now.
get her fixed by whatever the magic...
The magic stuff is.
Yeah, it's the magic stuff, yeah. I think that's how it's referred in the film. Yeah.
Enough. Okay.
Yeah.
Anyway, gone off on a tangent. So
Yes.
we do have to do a date night soon. So lots of things coming. There's lots of things in the feed and lots of things coming to the feed soon.
Yeah.
So enjoy. Thanks everyone for listening. You can follow us on social media at The Honeymoon Pod. We're on Instagram and Twitter. And you can also leave us a review. That would be wonderful on iTunes. Not even called iTunes anymore. It's called Apple Podcasts, isn't it?
Apple Podcasts.
On Apple Podcasts. And you can also leave us a star rating on Spotify. We haven't looked yet to see if we've had any star ratings. We said that we would give ourselves star ratings because, we're those people. So we need to look and see if we've got any others
I
on
gave
there.
us a star rating.
Did you give us a star rating?
Only 4. 4.
Oh,
But,
I know. I was thinking, is it just like 3? Average. Meh. But yeah, we really, really appreciate it if you could leave us a review. It really helps people to find us and helps to spread the word about the podcast.
Even if you're just reviewing us to a friend. We'll see you next time.
Bye.